Hey, welcome to the Talking Tesla network of shows, Elon Daily specifically. This is Joel Sapp. One of the biggest stories of the week, I suspect, is going to be the vehicle and production delivery numbers by Tesla, which came out this morning. Tesla produced over 206,000 cars, up from about 180,000 last year, last quarter. I can remember when Tesla's was just trying to get over 100,000 cars in a year, 25 a quarter. I bought my Model S when they reached, I think the first time they reached 100,000 for that year. And so this 200,000 number and about 201,000 deliveries is really great numbers. And we'll see if what Wall Street sort of looks at right now. Tesla's down a little bit at recording time, but it's meeting Wall Street's expectations. Wall Street was thinking about 200,000, and this 200,000, 250 number is right at that number. So there shouldn't be any issues with that. So we'll see how that all goes, but that's great news for Tesla. One of the things that we heard this week too in news was Canada, for all new light-duty vehicle sales, by 2035, all new light-duty vehicles will have to be non-emitting cars. So, essentially electrics. And that's an interesting number, 2035. So we have Norway, that's 2025, Belgium, 2026, Germany, Iceland, India, Ireland, Israel, Netherlands, Slovenia, Sweden, Denmark are all in 2030. So it's a little late for Canada, but look, the United States hasn't really done much here either, right? I think California is 2035. So that's pretty interesting. And I think good news. And as more and more countries, I'm looking at a list on Wikipedia. And I see the United States at 2040, but that's only, all government vehicles and all privately owned vehicles and company-owned vehicles in 2040. So the U.S. is still way off of Canada, but I still think it's pretty late. I'd like to see more 2026, 2027 numbers. I think would be fairly reasonable to start requiring for a lot of countries. But excellent news again there too. And we'll see what else. Maybe even the U.S. pulls forward their numbers. But we'll see how that goes. In a Yale Environmental 360 report, essentially it was an article which is reporting from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, where they're sort of making analysis of where they see that 50% number when 50% new car sales are electric vehicles. And that's one of the, sort of crucial numbers. If it's Canada before that number, is Canada after that number? So Bloomberg New Energy, who tends to be a little conservative, is saying by 2035, 50% of all new vehicle sales will be electric. And they also see that in Europe, maybe it would be closer to 2030. But that's kind of an interesting number and something that we should all look forward to. Tell us what you think. What year do you think 50% of the cars will be electric? 2027 is numbers I've heard, but that's kind of where I'm hoping for, but let's see how that goes. So one last thing is I saw somebody tweet how much money per electric car the oil and gas industry lost, at least in terms of gasoline, right? How much money, from the money at the pump is lost. So I did a quick calculation. If we look at the average gas mileage of cars right now, fleet average is around 25 miles a gallon. Obviously, trucks are way less than that. And there's some smaller cars that are a bit more than that, but that's a good average. And the average mileage that cars go are around 14,300 miles. And we're talking the U.S., and these numbers would be different for each country. And we know we have a lot of listeners outside of the U.S., but let's just take the U.S. as a particular case. For at least for some of this number. And the average fuel, gasoline is $3.13. So if in this tweet, someone said over the 15-year time period, about $30,000 is lost by the oil and gas industry. So for the life of that vehicle, they lose about $30,000 is what they said. Here, with these numbers, I've calculated $26,900, so almost $27,000 for that 15-year period, which is, it's between 15 and 20 years when a car tends to stay on the road. But let's be a little conservative for electrics and say 15 years. That's that $25,963. That's a lot of money. And if you put it into context, this quarter sales just for Tesla alone is over $5.5 billion, or just about $5.5 billion lost by the oil and gas industry just for one quarter. So you can almost double it, plus or minus. Maybe it's like $5 billion. I didn't do the number. So that's $10 billion that they're going to lose just from Tesla just this year over the life of the car. Something like $360 million in the next year that oil and gas would lose from these 200,000 cars that were sold this quarter. So that's pretty remarkable. If we see more cars like that, I think that's going to be pretty amazing. But for now, I am Joel Sapp, and this is Elon Daily, part of the Talking Tesla Network, and we will talk to you later. How'd that go, Mel?